What is going on, boys and girls, ladies and gentlemen, cats and dogs? You are listening to another episode of Rebellion Wrestling Radio, and as always, I'm your host, Ryan, aka Mr. Showtime, and I am so happy to be back right here on Podbean.com. It has been quite a while since we had an opportunity to do anything with the podcast here, to be honest with you. The last full-length episode we've had an opportunity to do was back in November. This was right before or right after the Survivor Series pay-per-view when we had the shocking victory from Goldberg and going over Brock Lesnar. So it was kind of crazy, and how have times changed? It's been kind of crazy in the world of professional wrestling, the world of WWE since then, and that also it's been kind of crazy in my world too. You know, I've had a lot of things happening, a lot of personal things, a lot of new ventures that came across. Had an opportunity to record a new album with my band, The Animal Electric, which was really cool. And then also on top of that, we had an opportunity to start up a new podcast, and that's called the Hardcore Geek Podcast. And we've done that, on and off before, but we moved a little bit further into it this time. And I tell you what, with all the crazy changes going on in my world and my friend's world, the one true constant has been the wacky world of professional wrestling. And I love professional wrestling, and I just wanted to come back and have an opportunity to do this podcast again for you, the fans, the listeners, and it's great. So, guys, let's just get right into it. We're going to start off with shameless plugs. So you can check out all of our past episodes, not only right here on Podbean.com, but you can go to our website, RebellionWrestling.com. We are right there on iTunes as well. I believe we are still on SoundCloud. We have some old interviews on SoundCloud, which is actually pretty cool. And then also, if you want to check us out on the Twitter, go ahead and look us up at RWR_wrestling. We are always loving to interact with you, especially doing our live tweets during the WWE pay-per-views. Sometimes we're in Raw, SmackDown, and NXT. And, and we're on the Instagram, too. I forgot about Instagram. I'm kind of okay with the social media. I'm still kind of getting the hang of it. Guys, if you want to show us some love, go to ProWrestlingTees.com. It's going to be ProWrestlingTees.com/Rebellion Wrestling. Get yourself a pretty awesome Rebellion Wrestling t-shirt. We have about 4 or 5 designs up there right now. All the proceeds go to helping us, keep the show afloat and keep the, new equipment coming in, make sure all the maintenance is done, and, web hosting, all that fun stuff. So we want to keep the show free, obviously. Who would pay to listen to a guy like me, to be honest with you? But, not only would it be a great idea to support us, go on there and support some of your other podcasts and your other YouTube content creators on there, okay? And then, of course, the professional wrestlers. You got guys like Cody Rhodes, Donovan Dijak. Thought we had a little bit of an audio flub there, but it is what it is, right? All right, guys, let's go ahead and get right into the show. This past Sunday was WWE Extreme Rules. Okay, WWE Extreme Rules 2017. It was held from the Royal Farms Arena in beautiful Baltimore, Maryland. Looks like they had an attendance of about 11,769 screaming WWE fans, and I actually enjoyed the pay-per-view. Okay, the one thing that you guys are going to understand from me, and if you haven't already in the past episodes, is that I try, for the most part, to be positive when it comes to professional wrestling. There's so much negativity, and there's so many opportunities to bash a product. It's just, it's not good. Who wants to do that, right? So I kind of look at it as a fan and as a small child, if you will, right? I always loved professional wrestling as a kid, and in the world how it is now, it's crazy. You got so many scary, not something like a movie or a book or like professional wrestling, like a WWE pay-per-view, to be able to, escape for a little bit. That's really the big thing. Is it's an escapism. And I think that this show, it really helped me kind of, shut off the world and just be engulfed in professional wrestling. So we got the pre-show match. We got Kalisto. He was going against Apollo Crews with Titus O'Neil. We got this whole thing with the Titus brand. Titus is, I guess, a manager slash wrestler. Well, I can't even talk. Slash wrestler. And he's almost like, I want to say he's trying to form a stable. Like, he had this whole thing where he was trying to recruit guys like Akira Tozawa. Obviously, he's been trying or has recruited Apollo Crews, which I always said from day one, since Apollo Crews has come to the main roster, he needs a little bit more of an edge. So I always thought he would be the perfect heel. If you put like a maybe not a Titus O'Neil, but like almost like I don't even say a Paul Heyman, but like another manager type, I think that would be a great situation for him. Like, give him a mouthpiece. If you guys remember when MVP came into the WWE back in like 2004, 2005, 2006, can't remember exactly when it was, but he came in as quote-unquote the highest paid star in SmackDown history. And it was a real cool angle, and I think that if you put something like that, something similar to that, onto Apollo Crews, where you make him, almost like one of those situations where he doesn't really have to talk, he's just real cocky, right? Everybody always talks about how Apollo Crews, all he does is smile. He actually said it, I think he was on Sam Roberts' podcast about a year ago, and I think you should have him say something like, I smile because I know I'm better than you. I think that would be perfect for Apollo Crews. I don't know if that's where it's going, but I think that if Apollo Crews is going to have a solid future on the main roster, you have to give him a little bit of an edge. In this match, Kalisto did go over Apollo Crews. I saw the very tail end of it. I literally walked in the room when Kalisto hit the Salida del Sol and pinned him. That was really it. It was pretty much I kind of forgot the match was happening. But the show opened up with an excellent opener from The Miz and Dean Ambrose for the Intercontinental Championship. Now, obviously, the stipulation was if Dean Ambrose was disqualified, he would lose the Intercontinental Championship to The Miz. And it was pretty crazy, We didn't really know if that was going to happen. I liked how we got the interference from Maurice. I loved the spot where Miz told Maurice to slap him. That was kind of like where I really thought the match would end. I thought she would come in, maybe a low blow the Miz on purpose. Kudos to WWE for having the referee go to Maurice saying, "Oh no, I know what you're trying to do." So we kind of got a little bit of a swerve. And then we got the whole Miz sending Dean Ambrose into the referee, so we kind of thought maybe this is where Ambrose is going to lose the title by disqualification. This is my only gripe with the matches. Right after that, the referee keeps going to Dean Ambrose like, "Oh, did you run into me? Did you hit me? I'm going to disqualify you. I'm going to disqualify you." Like, he's walking over to the timekeeper's area for no reason. Like, why would he even walk over there? Obviously, the only purpose is to distract him, the WWE storyline, to distract him. And Miz hits the skull-crushing finale, pins Dean Ambrose for his 7th Intercontinental Championship. The Miz, brand new IC champ. I love it. I'm a fan of Dean Ambrose, but I really think that the Miz as IC champ is the way to go. The next night we got his whole celebration, which kind of turned upside down with him elbow dropping the grandfather clock that Maurice got for him. She kind of walked out, got all pissed off at him. He beat up a dude in a bear costume. And then Dean Ambrose, dressed as a cameraman, came out and hit dirty deeds on the Miz. So obviously this feud isn't over. I can see this possibly going into Great Balls of Fire, and that would be it. I want to see Miz in a different feud, and maybe a little bit more high profile of a feud going into SummerSlam. I've heard rumors that it possibly could be a Roman Reigns going up against the Miz for the IC title. I wouldn't mind that. I'm not a Roman Reigns hater. In fact, I I don't want to say I love the guy, but I like the guy. Used in the right capacity, a Roman Reigns can work. He can work in an IC title program with The Miz, but I don't think he should go over. I think that The Miz should retain the IC title for quite a while, and then if he's going to drop it to somebody, drop it to an up-and-comer. Roman Reigns doesn't need to be the IC champion. That's just how I feel about that. Next match on Extreme Rules was a mixed tag match. We got Rich Swann and Sasha Banks going against Noam Dar and Alicia Fox. It was what it was. It wasn't too crazy. It was just your regular mixed tag. There was a real scary spot when Sasha pulled Alicia off the apron. Alicia took like a real nasty fall. The one thing about Alicia and Sasha is I don't know if it's just the way they take bumps, or it just always looks so painful the way they sell. So I don't know if they're selling or if it's on purpose or accident, but I always kind of cringe sometimes when one of them takes like either a high risk bump or anything like that, because it really looks like it hurts a lot. Rich Swann did get the win over Noam Dar, hit the Phoenix Splash, breaking the curse because this is his hometown. Rich Swann gets the pinfall, the clean win over Noam Dar in his hometown. I'd like to see this feud end between Noam Dar and Rich Swann. I think Rich Swann, if you kind of throw him back into the title picture with Neville eventually, I think that would be a great thing to do. Or you maybe mix him up with the main roster. Maybe put him against The Miz. I wouldn't mind seeing Rich Swann as Intercontinental Champion. That's just me. I don't know how you feel, but I don't know if you're picking up what I'm putting down, but Rich Swann IC Champ, I would love it. Next match, this is the only one for a lot of people, myself included, was kind of a letdown because I actually was looking forward to this. And this was the kendo stick on a pole match for the Raw Women's title. We had the champion Alexa Bliss going against Bayley. And leading up to this, we had that atrocious This Is Your Life segment, which kudos to WWE. In the following weeks, they've actually made fun of the segment. So that's, at least they can kind of laugh at themselves, But leading up to this, we had the whole Alexa kind of playing the whole mean girl and calling Bayley like, you're a nerd, you're a loser, and all this stuff like that, saying you can't get Extreme, that I'm gonna kick your ass at Extreme Rules, and you don't stand a chance. There was a pre-match interview with Bayley where she was saying, hey, I've been watching Tommy Dreamer, I've been watching The Sandman, I've been watching all these guys, Steve Blackman. She dropped the Steve Blackman reference, which is awesome. And she's like, all right, I'm ready to go. I'm prepared. I'm going to get Extreme. So I'm thinking Alexa's going to kind of push Bayley around the whole match, and then eventually Bayley's going to snap, right? She's going to, rip the side ponytail out. She's going to go crazy, maybe do like the whole Raven pose. I would love that. That would be totally, totally awesome. But we did not get that. We got Bayley getting the kendo stick first, and then eventually, for some weird reason, she wouldn't hit Alexa. I know, like, WWE is trying to kind of paint her as the almost like the female John Cena. That's how I call it. She's kind of like the she can't do anything that dastardly. I don't have it in my heart to do it, which I think that kind of makes her look like a pussy. And I love Bayley, and I don't mean it to come off like derogatory or anything, but like, we needed the payoff here. We needed Bayley to snap. Even if she didn't win the title, we needed her to snap, okay? We needed her to get some good shots in against Alexa. And if Alexa hits her with the DDT out of nowhere, at least Bayley, went down swinging. In this one, Alexa takes the kendo stick and destroys Bayley. I mean, you see the post-match pictures with all the scars on Bayley's back, and it was kind of hard to watch at some point. And Bayley did hit Bayley to belly at one point, but she couldn't capitalize. And then all of a sudden, Alexa hits her with the DDT, and the match is over. Sorry for the long pause. I had to move my cat off of my desk. He was messing with the cords. If you guys know Thor, he is the resident feline right here in Rebellion Wrestling, and he was messing with the sound here. My friend, you cannot do that. Yeah, I'm looking at you, dude. This is very riveting radio right now. All right, next match, we have the steel cage match between Cesaro and Sheamus, challenging the Hardy Boys, Matt and Jeff. Now, this wasn't announced to the live crowd, as far as I know, but it was announced right before, or right as the match was starting, and they said that the steel cage match, it's kind of like how I would kind of compare it to like the Owen Hart Bret Hart match, where there was no pinfalls, no submissions, and the only way you can win is escaping the cage. Okay, I'm totally fine with that. Now, this match was okay. You know, you're restricted when you're in a steel cage. To be honest with you, and it may not be really a popular thing to say, is a steel cage match. It looks cool on paper, and even, you know, if you're in the live crowd, you see the cage, and it's kind of cool, but once the match starts, it's kind of limited unless there's blood and all that. And I'm not saying that that's what WWE needs to do, is bring back blood, but when you're kind of confined to that steel cage and you have guys like Cesaro who can like go all over the ring and do these, you know, springboard, freaking European uppercuts, and Sheamus would toss people out of the ring, and then of course the Hardys, the high flyers, you're kind of restricted here. So the storytelling becomes the main purpose. Jeff Hardy escapes the cage first, and we get a lot of real good back and forth between Cesaro, Sheamus, and Matt Hardy, to the point where they eventually start double teaming him. Jeff tries to jump into the cage. They knock him out again, and then he eventually does jump onto the top of the cage, hits a pretty cool whisper in the wind off the top of the cage, and from here, it was announced that now that Jeff Hardy is in the ring, that he has inserted himself back in the match, so they're even again. So Jeff Hardy escaping first at this point means nothing. And I never heard of that before. I'm not opposed to the concept, but I think especially to the live crowd, how would you know that? Because what happens here is Sheamus and Cesaro are rushing, they're climbing over the top of the cage where Matt Hardy is going through the door. Matt Hardy makes it out of the door before Sheamus and Cesaro hit the floor, and then all of a sudden, the bell rings and we have new tag champs, and that's because Jeff Hardy didn't get out of the ring or out of the cage for a second time, which I get it. Now, you know, the announcers explain the rules, and in my opinion, I think that makes sense and adds for a little bit more drama. Like, you know, you're taking a risk by re-entering the cage, but if I was in the live crowd, I'd be totally confused because Matt obviously got out of the cage before Sheamus and Cesaro did. So, kind of a weird way to end. I heard that the reason that they dropped the titles is because Matt's wife Rebby is due to give birth to their second child anytime. I'm very happy to hear that. You know, obviously, you know, birth of a child is a little bit more important than the Raw Tag Team titles. I think Sheamus and Cesaro will be able to hold it down for quite a while. So, be really interesting to see where the Hardys go from here. And the Hardys were not on Raw on Monday night. So, I'm really interested to see what happens this week on Raw. From here, we got another match that I was actually really interested to see. I'm probably one of the only people out of my group of friends who actually like the cruiserweights. I will watch 205 Live. I am a shorter dude, smaller dude, if you will, and I always dug the high flyers. I loved back in the day when my dad would get like tapes from his buddies at work from like the WCW pay-per-views. We would always love the cruiserweight matches, like the 8-10 man tags, and dudes flying all over the planchas and everything, and that's what I love. That's what I was brought up on. So when the cruiserweights, especially the cruiserweight division and the championship was announced to come back, I was ecstatic. I never thought it should have left. Obviously, the whole thing with Hornswoggle, you know, was kind of a weird situation, so I don't know if that's why they got rid of it, but they brought it back, and I was very happy. Neville, I'm so happy that he has been such a dominant champion. Neville as a heel is absolutely perfect. You can't do anything wrong in this role. Austin Aries has, I think this is his 4th or 5th shot at the title. I want to say maybe 3rd pay-per-view bout for the title. This is a submission match, obviously. This is my only other real gripe. Midway through the match, both men are on the outside, and the referee starts counting them out. Bro, it is a submission match. Have you not seen Hart versus Austin from WrestleMania 13? There are no rules. There's no countouts, no submissions, no pinfalls. That's all it is. Can I say no countouts, no submissions? No countouts, no disqualifications, no pinfalls, just submissions. So essentially, Neville could have grabbed the chair and beat the shit out of Austin Aries, and he would not have been disqualified. I don't understand why the referee was counting out. I don't know if it's this new rule. They never addressed it. I don't know if it was a botch on the referee or what, but it made no goddamn sense. I'm so sorry. I don't even mean to swear like that, but that's the one thing that really got me upset. Real cool spot. It really looked, there was a spot where Aries was on the apron, and Neville he kicked him off, and the spot was supposed to be Aries hitting his bad knee on the LED board, and it looks like he actually clipped his shoulder to the point where he was down. He was actually pointing to his shoulder, trying to get the referee's attention. So I don't know if he legit hurt himself or what. We haven't seen Austin Aries since. Looks like he may have been taking some time off based on his Twitter feed. But Neville did retain a real cool finish. Austin Aries was trying to roll out of the way, and Neville hit the red arrow onto his back, and then from there put him right into the Rings of Saturn. And I think it was a real cool sequence. It kind of saved the match for me. If we didn't have the stupid count-out stuff, then I think it would have been, I want to give it like 3 out of 5 stars. So we got our main event. It's a fatal 5-way Extreme Rules match. The winner's going to go on to fight Brock Lesnar at Great Balls of Fire. The worst fucking name for a pay-per-view I have ever heard. Seriously, it's terrible. Like, you couldn't have just brought... I think it was originally supposed to be Bad Blood. Then we're going to bring that back. But that didn't happen. So yeah, I don't know. Anyways, we got this fatal 5-way match. We got Samoa Joe going against Roman Reigns, Seth Rollins, Finn Balor, and Bray Wyatt. Now, I was pulling for Finn Balor. I'm a huge Finn Balor fan. I would also like to see... What I kind of did is I took Brock Lesnar and I put in my imaginary diagram here who I would love to see Brock go against out of these 5 guys. And I'm talking about not just a match, but a whole program leading up to their match. Okay? I looked at a guy like Roman Reigns, the WWE obvious choice, but we already had that in WrestleMania 31, And got that kind of leading into the next year at Fastlane, too. So, it's one of those been there, done that, right? Bray Wyatt, I think, would be an awesome feud. I guess I just don't... You have the whole backstory back in 2016 when Bray was fighting... he eliminated Brock from the Rumble, and they were supposed to do this match at the Roadblock pay-per-view, and they have it was like a little mini feud that never really got off the ground, so you at least kind of have that going for you in the Bray feud, but I don't think that would have been enough to carry it. Finn Balor, they have already teased it. I really think that's what we're getting at SummerSlam. I really think that Finn Balor is eventually going to be going against Brock Lesnar because they did the tease with Paul Heyman. I think for the Go Home show for Extreme Rules. And this is a classic David versus Goliath, and the whole fact that Finn Balor did not lose the title. He got injured and had to give it up. And then also, if for some reason Brock does retain at Great Balls of Fire, and he goes on to defend it against Finn at SummerSlam, that's where Finn won the title, and it's also in the Barclays Center where he won the title last year. So it's kind of like a full circle thing. I think that I honestly think that that's what we're going to get, but we'll go from there. I think I just spoiled this, but obviously it's been about almost 2 weeks since the event, so, whatever. Seth Rollins would be a great program, but we also got that back in 2014 or 2015. So, we've been there, we've done that. I prefer Rollins as a heel. I'm not really digging him so much as a face, but, I still like the guy. And then we got Samoa Joe. Samoa Joe, the guy who we've never seen Brock interact with. A guy who has been known as the Destroyer and who has been crazy dominant, not just in NXT, but when he was in TNA, Ring of Honor, and PWG, all the places that he has wrestled, he has been dominant and he's been a legitimate badass. And that's what Brock Lesnar is. He's a legitimate badass. This match was really good. It wasn't like, balls out. They weren't bringing out like kendo sticks and frying pans and ladders and shit like that. There was it was a slow build. And I like there was an alliance between Joe and Bray where they were kind of taking everybody out, so that was interesting. We got Roman kind of beating everybody up. Everybody kind of trying to take their swing at Roman and failing, so that was kind of interesting. We got a real cool table spot from Seth Rollins going through the table onto, I believe it was Bray. We saw a spear with, who was that? I think it was Joe and Finn. They were both speared by Roman Reigns through the barricade, so that was real cool. We saw kind of Finn break out a little bit, and here's an interesting thing about Finn Balor too, is he did not come out as the Demon. A lot of people were kind of losing their shit because, well, where's the Demon? This is a ripoff. Cancel WWE Network. Hashtag, whatever. But I think they're going to save that for a big match, a singles match. Maybe Brock Lesnar. Wink, wink. I don't know. But Finn kind of let loose, whooping dudes with steel cages, steel chairs. He hit the coup de grace on Roman Reigns. As he's going for the pinfall, Joe grabs him, drags him off of Roman, puts him in the coquina clutch, and he passes out. He does not tap out. But Samoa Joe is your winner and your number one contender for the WWE Universal title at Great Balls of Fire. And that's actually a cool scenario because Samoa Joe and Brock Lesnar, it's just like two giant hams. I don't know why I just call them hams, but just two big blocks of just shit. Angry blocks of shit. And they're wanting to destroy each other, and they're just on a collision course for Great Balls of Fire. Again, the worst name for a pay-per-view ever. But this match is really making the pay-per-view. I don't look at it, it's Great Balls of Fire. I look at it as Joe versus Brock. And I don't know if this is going to be a one-off, but I think that the program has a lot of potential to be very epic. We got the interaction between Joe and Paul Heyman on Monday night when he choked Paul Heyman out. We're going to be getting Brock Lesnar back on Monday Night Raw this week coming up. I think that what you need to do is you need to keep them separate. You need to start... I don't know if you remember when The Undertaker and Brock had that crazy brawl in 2015 where the whole locker room had to separate them. We have to do something like that to the point where Kurt Angle says, all right, Joe, you're off TV. Don't show up until Great Balls of Fire, basically. Brock, you don't show up to Great Balls of Fire. And then the whole thing is, if either of you touch each other before Great Balls of Fire, Brock, you're going to be stripped of the title, and Joe, you're not going to get, you're going to be stripped of your title shot, So what you do is you leave these guys off of TV. Brock's already really going to be off of TV anyway, so it's kind of pointless to just have Joe there. But what you do is you film these vignettes of them training, kind of like a UFC video, You have Brock doing his training with his camp, as Joe liked to put it. And then you have Joe doing his training, and we can kind of actually maybe get a little bit more of an insight of Samoa Joe, which is something that we really didn't get while he was in NXT, and of course not while he was on the main roster. So then, each competitor can have their group of fans get that much more invested. So by the time that this match happens at Great Balls of Fire, it is what we like to call, quote unquote, a big fight feel. I think that that's what you need to do. And I don't know, WWE, listen to this podcast, do it. Have them separated, but make it epic before that happens. So that's Extreme Rules. I think it was pretty good, you know. I don't know, you guys are good. I would give it probably about a 3.5 out of 5. We obviously have Money in the Bank coming up a week from Sunday. Really excited about that. Obviously, we have the 6-way Money in the Bank ladder match between AJ Styles, Shinsuke Nakamura, Kevin Owens, Sami Zayn, Baron Corbin, and who the hell am I forgetting? Dolph Ziggler. Okay, so really, that's the one where I don't know where they're gonna go. I don't know if they're gonna kind of WWE swerve us and give it to a guy like Baron Corbin, or if they're gonna give it to one of the obvious picks like an AJ Styles or a Shinsuke Nakamura. I think the end result, no matter what, should be at WrestleMania, Shinsuke versus AJ for the WWE title. No matter what happens between now and then, that needs to be the end result. Another thing I'm super excited about is the women's Money in the Bank ladder match. That's so crazy. It's one of those things where like you play it on WWE 2K and then now it's actually happening. So we got Becky, I was gonna say Becky and Sasha. We got Becky, we got Tamina, we got Natty, we have Carmella, and we have Charlotte. Winner's gonna be Miss Money in the Bank. It's crazy, and I think that this has a lot of potential. I'm really interested to see what happens here. And I do actually like the way that they design the women's briefcase. I like the white with the gold trim. I don't know, I'm just real weird about that. Kind of reminds me of the old Ultimate Warrior white gold eagle belt. But or winged eagle belt, excuse me. That's really what we're looking forward to for Money in the Bank. Obviously, we do also have the Usos going against the New Day for the SmackDown tag titles, and I really think the New Day should get the win here and get the titles. It would breathe some new life into those titles. It would elevate the Usos a little bit more, and it would make me want to watch tag title matches on SmackDown again. This week on SmackDown, we got the debut, or the return, if you will, of Lana. She interfered in a 6-woman tag match. She took out Naomi. Prior to that, she asked Shane to be inserted into the match, where Naomi kind of laughed at her, and she got real frustrated. This caused her to come out and pull Naomi off the apron, injured her a little bit, caused her to lose the match by being pinned by Tamina. Now, we're going to be getting a women's title match between Naomi and Lana. So, that really begs the question, does Lana deserve a women's title match? In my opinion, no, she doesn't. And some people are really up in arms about that, but here's the thing, Lana is a heel. So, the fact that she doesn't deserve a match, that goes perfect for her character. She should... if anybody's going to get an undeserving title match, it should be a heel like Lana. If she wins, that's going to be crazy. Who knows? If she wins, then maybe somebody will cash in right away and take it from her. But that's really it. That's all I got here for this week at Rebellion Wrestling. It's been a quick review week. We have some stuff going on. One last piece of business. If you guys are YouTube watchers or anything like that, if you guys like watching YouTube wrestling content providers such as What Culture Wrestling, Grimm's Toy Show, places like that, Wrestling with Regret, there's countless YouTube wrestling providers, and recently the YouTube algorithms, they have classified professional wrestling as non-family friendly, and it's been causing a lot of these guys' ad revenue to go down. So there is a petition online to remove professional wrestling as non-family content, which I think is ridiculous. So if you guys want to go to YouTube, go to one of their pages, go to our Twitter page. It's right there. We're going to pin the tweet, and show some love for some professional wrestling content providers right there on YouTube. Other than that, guys, it has been great coming back here right on Podbean. As always, you can check us out at rebellionwrestling.com, Facebook, Twitter at RWR_wrestling. We're on iTunes as well if you're an Apple user. Go to prowrestlingtees.com/rebellionwrestling. Get yourself a pet of blah, blah, blah. I can't even talk. Get yourself a fantastic pro wrestling t-shirt. Support us. Support your favorite pro wrestler. Guys, I am Mr. Showtime. I am Ryan. I am happy to be back. You are listening to another episode of Rebellion Wrestling Radio, and I will see you next week.